The rapid rise of AI, it's not just changing how businesses work, right? It's actually embedding intelligent systems into, well, almost everything, often in software you're already using.
Exactly. And with that kind of power comes, huge pressure to govern these systems responsibly.
Yeah, immense pressure.
And AI isn't static, is it? It learns, it adapts, it makes decisions, and that introduces a whole different set of risks, things you don't normally worry about with standard software.
Like what kind of things?
Well, algorithmic bias, for one, that whole black box issue where you sometimes just can't figure out why the AI made a certain decision, big data privacy challenges, too, and even totally new kinds of cyber attacks.
Okay, so the big question hanging over, pretty much every organization is, how do you actually get your arms around all of this complexity? How do you manage these new kinds of risks, make sure things are transparent, ethical, and actually feel confident that the AI is working effectively and, aligned with your actual business goals?
And that is exactly what we're diving into today. We've been digging into this white paper that tackles this exact problem head on.
Okay.
It proposes that a pretty well-established framework, COBIT, could actually be a really robust, adaptable solution for governing and managing AI.
Right. So think of us as your guides today. We're going to walk you through the key insights from this document, sort of section by section, like instructors.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to help you unpack how this framework, which has traditionally been used for, broader IT governance, can be specifically tweaked and leveraged for the unique challenges of AI. Sound good?
Sounds great. Let's jump in.
Right.
So the paper kicks off by really emphasizing just how strategically vital AI has become. Machine learning, deep learning, now generative AI. These aren't just like niche tools anymore. They're fundamental drivers for innovation, efficiency.
Right, they're everywhere now. You see machine learning for things like forecasting customer demand or spotting fraud.
Yep.
Deep learning is powering things like really sophisticated image recognition, natural language processing that feels almost human sometimes.
It really does.
And generative AI is just transforming content creation, personalization. I mean, across industries, they're boosting efficiency and decision-making power.
And that impact, it looks really different depending on the sector, right? Through in healthcare, you've got AI helping with diagnostics, maybe suggesting treatment plans. Finance is leaning on it heavily for automated trading, complex fraud detection. Manufacturing uses it for predictive maintenance, figuring out when a machine might fail before it does.
Saves a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And retail, it's all about personalization, optimizing inventory, using AI insights.
But like you said at the start, these benefits, they definitely come with some pretty significant and kind of unique risks. The paper spends a good chunk of time on these.
It does. And ethical considerations are huge, especially around bias and fairness.
Bias is massive, isn't it? Explain that a bit more.
Well, AI models learn from data, right? And if the data you feed them reflects existing biases in society, gender bias, racial bias, whatever, the AI will learn and amplify those biases.
Leading to potentially discriminatory outcomes.
Exactly. The paper actually gives a couple of real-world examples. One was a legal case about alleged algorithmic bias in hiring software.
Right, the Saws v. Major Lindsay in Africa case.
That's the one. And another from France, where algorithms used for welfare fraud detection were accused of discriminating against low-income groups. The point is, you have to be really deliberate about testing for and mitigating bias. It doesn't just happen automatically.
Okay, then there's the transparency issue, the black box problem.
Yeah. With really complex models like deep learning, it can be genuinely hard, sometimes impossible, to trace back exactly how the AI reached a specific output or decision.
And that's not just a technical puzzle, right? It really damages trust, especially when AI is making calls that significantly impact people's lives, loans, jobs, healthcare.
Absolutely. And regulators are picking up on this. The paper mentions the EU AI Act, which has specific requirements around transparency, particularly for what they classify as high-risk AI systems.
Makes sense. What else?
Data protection and privacy, these are paramount. AI models are data hungry, often needing vast amounts. Mishandling that data, especially personal data, can lead to serious non-compliance with rules like GDPR or CCPA.
Which means massive fines.
Huge fines. And they even point out that using popular tools like, say, ChatGPT for internal work without proper controls could accidentally leak sensitive company data or trade secrets. You need policies around that.
And the cyber threats change, too.
Yeah, the attack surface evolves. AI introduces new vulnerabilities. attacks, things like adversarial attacks.
Okay, what's that?
It's where an attacker makes tiny, almost invisible changes to an input like an image or a sound file specifically designed to fool the AI model.
So like the example they gave, altering a stop sign image just slightly. So the AI in a self-driving car sees it as a speed limit sign?
Exactly that. Really subtle, but potentially catastrophic. And there are others, like model inversion attacks, where attackers try to basically reverse engineer the model to extract some of the sensitive data it was trained on.
Wow. Okay.
And here's something that might surprise people. AI features are often already embedded in standard off-the-shelf software, stuff organizations use every single day.
Like in search engines or productivity suites?
Precisely. Often without folks even realizing the specific AI governance implications that come along with just using those tools. It's not just about the big, custom-built AI projects.
And compounding all this, the paper argues, is often a lack of clear ownership. Who's actually responsible for AI governance in the organization?
That's a critical point. If it's not clearly defined, if it's sort of everyone's job and no one's job, oversight gets fragmented. Different departments might be doing their own thing.
And AI projects can drift away from the overall business strategy.
Exactly. So the big takeaway from this initial section is pretty clear. AI's power and its unique risk profile mean that your traditional IT governance, while it's a good foundation, it's just not enough on its own. You need something more specialized.
Something tailored for AI.
Precisely.
Okay, so given that need, what about the guidance that's already floating around out there? The paper does touch on some existing frameworks and standards, right?
It does. It gives a quick overview. They mention things like the OECD AI principles. These are more high-level voluntary guidelines focused on values like human rights, fairness, transparency, accountability.
Good principles, but voluntary.
Right. Then there's the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, the AI RMF, which comes out of the US. It's much more focused on managing the cybersecurity risks associated with AI systems, gives a structured approach.
Okay. And internationally?
There's ISO IEC 42001. That's a global standard specifically for setting up an artificial intelligence management system, or AIMS. It covers risk assessment, transparency, data governance, continuous improvement for AI.
And then the big one, the EU AI Act.
Yeah, that's a major piece of regulation. It's comprehensive. It categorizes AI systems based on their risk level: minimal, limited, high, unacceptable.
And imposes really strict requirements on those high-risk systems.
Very strict, with potentially massive fines for noncompliance, possibly on the scale of GDPR fines.
So trying to align with these different standards and laws is definitely a good idea. It helps manage legal risk, protects reputation.
For sure. But the paper does point out a potential limitation. Some of these frameworks, maybe because they're broad or trying to cover everything, might struggle to keep up with just how incredibly fast AI technology evolves. They might lack a bit of flexibility.
Which brings us neatly to the gaps the document identifies.
Yeah.
Even with this guidance, there are still holes.
Right. One big one is the lack of consistent international rules.
The coordination issue.
Exactly. What's required under the EU AI Act might be very different from regulations or lack thereof in other parts of the world. That makes it really tricky for global companies trying to comply everywhere.
Creates a complex patchwork.
And there are also big differences between industries. Healthcare, as we mentioned, is maybe further along in thinking about AI governance because of patient safety and data sensitivity.
Other sectors.
Sectors like finance, education. The paper suggests they might be lagging a bit in developing really comprehensive sector-specific AI governance standards.
Okay, but the paper argues the most critical gap
Yes.
is that ownership issue we keep coming back to. That lack of clear, defined responsibility for AI governance inside the organization.
Absolutely. This is presented as the core problem. Boards, executive leadership, they have to understand both the upsides and the significant downsides, the risks of AI.
You can't just be an IT thing.
No way.
Yeah.
And if you don't have clearly defined roles, clearly accountable people, if IT is doing one thing, data science another, compliance trying to catch up, oversight just fragments.
You get duplicated effort, wasted resources.
And worst of all, your AI initiatives can get completely misaligned with where the business is actually trying to go. It's not just messy, it's strategically damaging.
Okay, so if that's the landscape, the risks, the existing guidance, the gaps, especially ownership, how does COBIT fit in? The paper suggests it can help fill these gaps. Let's get a quick overview of COBIT itself.
Sure. So at its heart, COBIT is a framework designed to help organizations govern and manage their information and technology I&T. And the key is aligning that I&T, which absolutely includes AI now, with the overall business goals.
So it's about making sure tech supports the business mission.
Exactly. It provides a comprehensive approach to manage technology risk, make sure you're getting value from your tech investments, and optimize how you use your resources.
And it's structured, right, into different areas.
Yes, it's built around 5 main domains, which contain 40 specific governance and management objectives in total. These domains kind of cover the whole life cycle of IT management.
Okay, let's quickly run through those 5 domains. What's the first one?
At the very top, you have EDM, evaluate, direct, and monitor.
Okay, EDM. Sounds like senior leadership level.
It is. This is where the board and executives set the direction. They evaluate strategic options for technology, like adopting AI, direct the priorities, and monitor performance to make sure the organization is getting the value it expects. It's the highest governance layer.
Got it. What's next?
Then comes APO, align, plan, and organize.
APO. Planning and organizing. Sounds like strategy implementation.
Pretty much. This domain is about translating that high-level direction from EDM into concrete plans. It covers developing IT policies, planning how you'll manage risk, figuring out resources, architectural planning, making sure everything is lined up.
Okay, third domain.
BAI, build, acquire, and implement.
Build, acquire, implement. This sounds like where the actual systems get put in place.
Exactly. BAI deals with the practical side, developing software, acquiring technology, implementing solutions, managing changes effectively, making sure systems get deployed correctly and securely.
Makes sense. Then?
DSS, deliver, service, and support.
DSS. So once it's built, this is about running it.
Yep, day-to-day operations, managing service levels, handling security operations, ensuring business continuity, managing user support, dealing with incidents and problems, keeping the lights on and services running smoothly.
And the last one.
MEA, monitor, evaluate, and assess.
MEA. Monitoring. Sounds like checking performance and improving.
Precisely. This is the feedback loop. MEA focuses on monitoring performance against goals, evaluating the effectiveness of internal controls, ensuring compliance with regulations and policies, and assessing whether the governance system itself is working. It drives continuous improvement.
Okay, so those are the 5 domains. But the paper then says effective governance isn't just about these processes or domains, right? It needs more components.
Exactly right. To build a really robust governance system, COBIT says you need 7 different types of components working together. Think of them like the essential ingredients for good governance.
7 ingredients. What are they?
Okay, they are processes, organizational structures, information, people, skills, and competencies, principles, policies, and procedures, culture, ethics, and behavior, and finally, services, infrastructure, and application.
All right, 7 components. Now, here's where it gets really interesting for AI, based on the paper.
Yes, where does the AI technology itself fit into this?
Right.
It fits primarily into that last component, services, infrastructure, and applications. The AI models, the algorithms, the platforms they went on, that's the tech piece.
Okay, so AI is just one of the 7 ingredients.
Just one. And this is a crucial point the paper makes. You absolutely cannot govern AI effectively if you only focus on that technology component. It depends heavily on all the other 6.
Can you give some examples of how?
Sure, think about it. You need defined processes for how you develop, test, deploy, and monitor AI. You need clear organizational structures. Who owns the AI? Who oversees it? What are the reporting lines?
Makes sense.
You need quality information. The data has to be good, secure, handled ethically. You need people with the right skills and competencies to build, manage, and oversee the AI.
And the ethical side.
That comes under principles, policies, and procedures, having clear guidelines on responsible use, transparency, fairness, and also under culture, ethics, and behavior, fostering an environment where people understand AI, trust it appropriately, and use it responsibly.
So the AI tech relies on all these other pieces being in place.
Absolutely. The paper flags a common mistake. Organizations pour resources into the technology building or buying the cool AI, but they neglect these other vital governance ingredients.
And what happens then?
Well, you run into problems. Ethical issues like bias crop up because data governance information or policies weren't sorted out. You get inefficiencies because the workflows processes are unclear. You might face resistance to adoption because the culture isn't ready or doesn't trust it.
So a key message here is you need a balanced approach. You have to consciously develop and integrate all 7 components to manage risk properly and actually get the full value from AI.
Exactly. It's about building the whole system, not just the shiny tech part.
Okay, so if we need all 7 components, how does COBIT help actually design this governance system? The paper talks about connecting business needs to AI activities?
Right. It uses something called the goals cascade. It's a core COBIT concept. Basically, it's a structured way to translate high-level stakeholder needs, what the business really cares about, down through enterprise goals, then to IT-related goals, they call them alignment goals, and finally into specific actionable governance and management objectives for I&T.
So it helps ensure your AI governance efforts aren't just random activities, but are directly supporting what the business needs to achieve, like improving customer service or managing risk.
Precisely. It helps you prioritize. What aspects of AI governance are most critical based on our specific business strategy and stakeholder drivers? It links everything together.
Okay. And the paper also brings in the principles of trustworthy AI. Where do they fit?
Yeah, these are fundamental things like transparency, accountability, fairness, privacy, reliability, safety, resilience, security. These principles represent the outcomes you want from good AI governance. They build confidence and mitigate risk.
And the argument is that COBIT's structure, its objectives, naturally help you achieve these trustworthy principles.
Exactly. You don't necessarily need to invent brand new AI objectives. You leverage and tailor the existing COBIT objectives across those 5 domains and 7 components to support these principles.
Can you give an example? Like, how does COBIT support, say, AI safety or quality?
Sure. COBIT has objectives like AP11, Managed Quality, which focuses on documentation, quality assurance processes, and BAIO3, Managed Solutions Identification and Build, emphasizes things like ensuring data quality when you're building the AI model. Those directly support building safer, higher quality AI.
Okay. What about resilience, making sure AI systems can handle disruptions?
COBIT's objective, BAIO6, Managed IT Changes, is key there. It provides a structured process for managing changes to IT systems, including AI, which helps maintain stability and resilience.
And transparency and accountability, those seem crucial for trust.
Absolutely. Those link strongly back to that top-level EDM domain, particularly EDM01, Ensured Governance Framework Setting and Maintenance. That's where you establish the roles, responsibilities, decision-making structures, and overall framework that drives accountability for AI.
What about ethics and fairness? That's a huge topic with AI.
Again, EDM01 helps ensure ethical development aligns with the overall enterprise direction. APO1, Managed I&T Management Framework, helps ensure your tech strategies incorporate ethical standards. And EDM02, Ensured Benefit Delivery, includes monitoring outcomes to make sure AI is actually being used ethically and fairly in practice.
Security.
Covered by objectives like DSS05, Managed Security Services for implementing security protocols, and BAIO9, Managed Assets for securing the underlying infrastructure AI runs on.
And privacy.
Directly links to APO14, Managed Data. This objective covers data strategy, defining roles for data governance, managing metadata, ensuring data quality, all critical for protecting sensitive data used in or generated by AI, and complying with privacy regs.
So the framework provides hooks for all these key principles.
Yes, and the paper also points out that objectives related to overall risk management, like EDMs03, APO12, compliance, MEA03, APO14, APO11, stakeholder engagement, EDMs05, APO4, and general monitoring, MEA01, MEA02, provide kind of a horizontal layer of support across all these trustworthy AI principles.
And tailoring it involves using COBIT's design factors.
Right. The COBIT 2019 Design Guide helps you consider things like your organization's specific strategy, risk profile, regulatory landscape, and choose the most relevant objectives and activities for your AI governance needs. It's not one size fits all.
Got it. The paper then walks through how COBIT applies across the different stages of an AI system's life, right?
Yeah.
From design to retirement.
Exactly. It shows how the different domains are relevant at each stage. So in the initial design phase, when you're just conceptualizing an AI project.
EDM is key.
Yes. The evaluate, direct, and monitor domain ensures that the whole idea aligns with business strategy from the get-go. Leadership evaluates the potential impact, directs resources, and crucially, embeds ethical principles right at the start.
Okay, then you move into development.
Here, the align, plan, and organize APO domain becomes central. This is where you define the management structures, set the detailed policies for things like data governance, security, compliance for this specific AI. You plan resources, and importantly, you proactively look for and address potential issues like bias or security vulnerabilities early in the design.
Makes sense to catch things early. What about deployment? Getting it out there.
That's where build, acquire, and implement, BAI, comes in. This domain guides how you securely and efficiently integrate the AI into your operational environment. It covers testing, validation, user training, and managing the change process smoothly.
And once it's live, operation.
That's the realm of deliver, service, and support. DSS. This is the day-to-day running. Managing performance against agreed service levels, handling security incidents, ensuring continuity, resolving user issues, keeping the AI performing reliably and securely.
And finally, monitoring.
Right, which involves the monitor, evaluate, and assess MEA domain throughout the life cycle, but especially as an ongoing phase. This is about continuously evaluating how the AI is doing against its objectives, performance, compliance, risk, assessing its real-world outcomes, gathering feedback, identifying where improvements are needed, and adapting as things change.
It sounds like a continuous cycle.
It really is. AI systems aren't static, so their governance can't be either.
To make this less abstract, the document includes a specific use case, right? An e-commerce example.
Yes, a really helpful one. An e-commerce company implementing an AI chatbot for customer service. It shows the whole COBIT application in action.
How does that cascade work in this example?
Well, it starts with the stakeholder. Maybe customers want faster answers, 24/7 support, more personalized help. Those needs drive enterprise goals like improve overall customer service satisfaction, optimize business continuity, and ensure regulatory compliance, especially around customer data.
Right. High-level business goals.
Then those translate down into more specific IT-related goals or alignment goals. For this AI chatbot, that might mean ensure high performance and reliability of the service, optimize customer experience via personalization, and guarantee data security and privacy.
Okay. Getting more concrete.
And then those IT goals break down into specific activities guided by COBIT objectives mapped across those 7 governance components we talked about.
Ah, the ingredients. Give me some examples for the chatbot.
Okay, so for processes, you'd use objectives like BAI 03.06 related to solution testing to set up procedures for regularly testing the chatbot's accuracy and defining processes for retraining it with new data.
Got it. What about information? Data's key for a chatbot.
Definitely. You'd apply APO 14, managed data, to implement clear data governance policies, how customer interaction data is stored, used, anonymized, complying with GDPR, etc. And maybe use MEA 04.06 related to monitoring controls to audit data quality and check for bias in its responses.
Makes sense. Policies.
Under principles, policies, and procedures, you'd establish rules for logging interactions, define how and when the chatbot's knowledge base gets updated, maybe policies on escalating complex issues to human agents.
Organizational structures. Who owns this chatbot?
Good question. You might use EDM 05.01 related to stakeholder engagement to set up an AI steering committee with people from customer service, IT, legal, data science, and use RCI charts, part of APO 01 activities, to define exactly who is responsible, accountable, consulted, informed for managing the chatbot.
People and skills.
Use APO 4.04, related to enabling skills, to implement training for customer service reps on how to work with the chatbot, for developers on ethical AI practices, etc. Continuous learning.
Culture and ethics.
This involves actively fostering a culture where responsible AI use is valued, training staff on the ethical implications, emphasizing transparency about when a customer is talking to AI versus a human, using EDM 01 guidance again.
And finally, the tech itself. Services, infrastructure, applications.
Right. Using APO 3, Managed Enterprise Architecture, to ensure the infrastructure can support the chatbot, BAI 04, Managed Availability and Capacity, to ensure it's scalable and secure, scheduling regular maintenance under DSS. You see how all 7 components are needed.
Yeah, that example really ties it all together. It's not just about the bot's code.
Not at all. It's the whole system around it.
Okay, but the paper doesn't paint this as, easy. It acknowledges challenges. Right?
Oh, absolutely. It's realistic about the hurdles.
Like the fact that AI itself is just so complex and changes so fast.
That's a big one. Keeping governance practices up to date when the underlying technology is a moving target is a real challenge. COBIT provides structure, but you need agility.
And that ownership issue again.
It keeps coming up because it's often the biggest blocker.
Yeah.
That fragmented oversight because no one person or group has clear responsibility.
There's also the difficulty of integrating these sometimes specialized AI systems, maybe operating in their own silos, with the broader existing IT governance framework.
Right. How do you make it all talk to each other smoothly? And another challenge is weaving those unique AI risks, bias, fairness, transparency, ethical use into your standard enterprise risk management processes.
So taking COBIT's risk objectives, like EDM 03 or APO 12, and maybe customizing how you apply them to specifically capture AI risks.
Exactly. The paper even suggests some AI-specific risk categories to think about. Ethical usage risk, policy governance risk, tech infrastructure risk, operational risk, even emerging strategic risks from AI.
Getting buy-in across the organization can also be tough, right?
Yeah.
Especially from folks outside of tech or data science.
Definitely. Explaining the why behind AI governance to security teams, legal, compliance, business leaders who aren't AI experts requires clear communication and showing the value.
And making sure leadership stays involved and actually measuring if your governance is effective. Those are ongoing challenges too.
For sure, it requires sustained effort.
But the paper doesn't just list problems. It offers solutions or recommendations too.
Right. It emphasizes, number one, get strong executive support. Leadership has to champion this and see AI governance as critical, not just a compliance checkbox.
Needs that top-down push.
Absolutely. Second, foster real cross-functional collaboration. Get IT, data science, legal, compliance, risk, and the business units talking and working together on governance. Break down those silos.
Makes sense.
And third, really emphasize continuous education and training for everyone involved. The AI landscape changes constantly, so people's understanding and the governance practices need to adapt too. COBIT provides the framework, but people need the skills to use it effectively for AI.
Okay, so wrapping things up then. What are the main benefits the paper highlights for using COBIT specifically for AI governance?
Well, it boils down to a few key things. First, better strategic alignment. COBIT helps ensure your AI projects aren't just science experiments, but are directly supporting the business mission and creating real, measurable value.
Ties AI to the bottom line.
Exactly. Second, enhanced accountability. Because COBIT pushes for clear roles, responsibilities, and processes, you get buyer ownership and clearer roadmaps for AI initiatives. Less finger-pointing.
A good third.
Robust risk management. It gives you that structured way to identify, assess, mitigate, and continuously monitor the unique risks AI brings throughout its entire lifecycle.
Which is critical.
Definitely. Fourth, more efficient resource management. It helps you optimize how you use your data, your skilled people, your infrastructure for AI. That promotes better scalability and helps control costs.
Makes sense. And last.
Continuous improvement. COBIT embeds that cycle of monitoring, evaluating, getting feedback, including from stakeholders, and documenting things. This helps keep your AI systems effective, relevant, and compliant over time as things change.
So pulling it all together, the core message seems to be that using a structured, comprehensive framework like COBIT gives organizations a solid way to handle the complexities of governing AI.
Yeah, it provides that systematic approach. It helps you align AI with your strategy, pushes for responsible and ethical practices, gives you tools to manage the unique risks, helps you use resources wisely, clarifies accountability.
And ultimately helps build that essential trust, both internally and externally, in how you're using AI.
Exactly. It's about enabling organizations not just to adopt AI, but to adopt it well, in a way that's sustainable, responsible, and drives real value in this incredibly fast-moving field.
So a final thought maybe for our listeners to chew on. As AI keeps evolving at this breakneck pace, how can the principles embedded in a framework like COBIT provide the kind of adaptability and foresight needed to tackle tomorrow's AI challenges, even the ones we can't predict yet?
And when we talk about building trust in AI, what does that actually look like tangibly for your organization's future? What steps does that imply?
Lots to think about there. A really insightful look at applying COBIT to AI based on that white paper.